Geometric series are going to help us find sums of a list of numbers that are being multiplied by a certain ratio each time. Okay, S of n means the sum of the first n terms. A of 1 is our first term, r is our common ratio, and n is the number of terms that we have. Alright, we want to find a of 1 in a geometric series for which the sum of the first n terms is 13,116, the number of terms is 7, and the common ratio is 3. So let's go ahead and use our formula. So S of n, it tells us, is 13,116. Okay. We don't know our first term. We know that we've got 1 minus the common ratio, it says, is 3. 3 raised to the n, because we don't know what n is. And that'll be all over 1 minus 3. Alright, let's try to simplify that a little bit. So we've still got a of 1. The 1 and the 3 cannot be combined on top because they've got different exponents, and that becomes negative 2 on the bottom. Alright, now let's go ahead and multiply both sides by negative 2. Oops. So that's negative 26,232 is equal to a1 times 1 minus 3 to the n. Okay, to get a of 1 by itself, we'll need to divide both sides by 1 minus 3 to the n. Okay, and now we've got a alone. However, this doesn't really help us. It doesn't tell us what our first term is because we've still got this n that we don't know the value of. So in order to find that, we're going to have to use the formula that we learned. Let's see. Oh wait, it does tell us what n is. Ha! Never mind. Sorry for those of you guys who were looking at that and saying, you forgot the n, Mr. Ross. Sorry. Okay, so n is actually 7, so we can plug in 7 for n. So, let's see. 3 to the 7th power is 2,187. So let's change colors. So negative 26232 over 1 minus 2187 should be equal to the first term. Okay, 1 minus 2187 is negative 2186. Okay, let's compute that in our calculators. Alright, I got 12. So our first term is going to be 12. And again, I'm sorry about forgetting about this n equals 7 here. That was silly. Okay, we want to find the sum of each geometric series. So we're going to use that sum formula. So the S of n, we don't know yet, but we know that n is 10. I won't forget that this time. So we could really write that as 10. Okay, the first 10 terms, sum of the first 10 terms, is going to be a of 1, which we're given as 2, times 1 minus the common ratio, which is 3, to the n power, which is 10, all over 1 minus the common ratio, which is 3. Now, if you guys are plugging this into your calculator all at once, you want to be very careful. You want to make sure that you put it in the correct way. I'm going to show you what your parentheses are going to look like. So if you're plugging this into your calculator, you're going to do parenthesis 2, parenthesis 1 minus 3 caret 10, close parenthesis, divided by parenthesis 1 minus 3, close parenthesis. Okay, you want to make sure that there is an outer parenthesis that is covering everything that's going to be on the top of the fraction. Okay, So this is all on top, so we need them all to be in a set of parentheses before the divide sign. We want to make sure that there's parentheses around everything on the bottom. So 1 minus 3, that's all on in the denominator. So that all needs to be in a set of parentheses after the divide sign. Okay? And then we need to make sure that we have parentheses separating the 1 minus 3 to the 10th from the 2. Okay? So if you can plug that all in your calculator without making mistakes with the parentheses, that's great. We're going to go ahead and just kind of do it step by step. So let's minimize that a little bit. Put that right there. Okay, so 2, whoops, didn't mean to do that. Let's see, where'd it go? Let's go back. There we go. There it is. All right. Okay, so we've got 2. And we are going to be, let's see, I lost my place now that that happened. Okay, 2 times 1 minus 3 to the 10th is 59,049. Okay, and 1 minus 3 is negative 2. So, looks like the 2's cancel. So we're going to have negative 1, let's see, 1 minus 59049 is negative 59048. Okay, so that just equals 59048. And that is our sum. Okay, let's do one where the common ratio is a fraction, so like this. Let's do red. Okay, so a of 1 is, in this case, is 2,000. And then we've got 1 minus our common ratio, which is 1/2. For those of you guys plugging this all into your calculator, I would put that in as 0.5, just so you don't have to do extra parentheses. And that is raised to the n, which we don't know n. Nope, we don't know n. And that is all over 1 minus the common ratio, which is 1/2. And that's our S of n. Okay, now we see a problem here. We've got this n that we don't know what the value of that is. So we're going to have to use our our geometric sequence formula from yesterday to figure out how many terms there are. So if we go back to yesterday's notes, geometric sequence formula is a of n is equal to a of 1 times r to the n minus 1. Okay, so a of n, it tells us is 125. A of 1 is 2,000. R is 1/2, and we don't know n. We're going to have to solve for that. Okay, so if we divide both sides by 2,000, let's see, 125 divided by 2,000, and let's turn that to a fraction. Let's see, that would be ACT. Let's quit that. Okay, that's 1/16. So 1/16 is equal to 1/2 raised to the n minus 1. Ooh, I don't know if we know how to do that yet. Well, we can think of it this way. 1 raised to what gives us 1. Well, that could be anything. But 2 raised to what power gives us 16? Well, let's just try some. 2 to the first is 2. That's not it. 2 to the second is 4. That's not it. 2 to the third is 8. Getting warmer. 2 to the fourth is 16. So that means that n minus 1 needs to equal 4. So that means that n is equal to 5, because 5 minus 1 is 4. So let's make a little more room here. And let's move this stuff. Okay. So if n equals 5, then we're going to plug that back into our S of n formula, which is right here. So we'll have 2,000 times 1 minus 1/5, or 1/2 raised to the 5th, all over 1 minus 1/2. Okay, so I'm going to type that, well, yeah, let's okay, let's copy this and put it on a new page. We're kind of running out of room. Copy. Alright, let's go over, let's do a new page. Okay, and paste. Alright. Okay, so if you do 0.5 raised to the 5th, and then turn that into a fraction, you will get 1/32. So we've got 2,000 times 1 minus 1/32, all over, what's 1 minus 1/2? 1/2. Okay, so now let's do 1 minus 1/32, and that will give us 31/32. Okay, and we're dividing that by 1/2. 2,000 times 31/32 is 1937.5. Or if you kept that as and that's divided by 0.5 or 1/2. If you kept those both as fractions, let's see what that would be. Oh, it doesn't like that, so we'll just keep it as a decimal. Then divide that by 0.5 in your calculator, and that will be 3875. Okay. Okay, well, I don't really like that we haven't learned exactly how to solve these type of problems with exponents yet. Like, you just have to do a guess and check. I don't like that, so I'm going to take off a few things on your homework, because we haven't learned that yet, and I just don't like that. So, on your homework, it says to do 11 through 16, 42 through 45, and 47 through 56. We're going to change that. On your homework, I don't want you to do 13 through 16. Don't do those. And I don't want you to do 53 or 54. Nope, not doing those. So what you are doing is on page 393, the new assignment is 11 through 12, 42 through 45, 47 through 52, and 55 and 56. Okay, oops. And that is 6.3. Okay, so I took off 4 problems, or, well, more than 4 problems. I took off 5 problems. So don't do 13 through 16 or 53 or 54. Alright, let's do this last type of problem. So again, if you do not have a calculator, you can do this using the sum formula, which, let me get back to it, 'cause it's kind of hard to have all of these memorized. So S of n is equal to a1 times 1 minus r to the n all over 1 minus r. Okay. And if you have a calculator, you can just plug that in. And I will do a video on how to plug that in because you want to make sure you get parentheses in the right spots. So our first term is going to be what we get when we plug in 3 for k. So a1, is going to equal 4 times 2 to the 3 minus 1, which 3 minus 1 is 2. 2 squared is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. Okay, so that's our a1. And then our number of terms is going to be 10 minus 2. So again, you don't do 10 minus 3 because we're using 3. We're just not using 2 or 1. So there's only 2 that we're not using. So 10 minus 2 gives us 8. So that's our number of terms. And our common ratio, on these your common ratio is always going to be what's inside the parentheses underneath the exponent. So in this case our common ratio is 2. Okay, let's plug those in and see what we get for our sum. So we'll get S of n is equal to 16 times 1 minus 2 to the 8th all over 1 minus 2. So that is 16 times 1 minus, let's see, 2 to the 8th. That is 256. All over 1 minus 2 is negative 1. 1 minus 256 is negative 255. That's all over negative 1. And that gives us negative 4080 over negative 1. So that means that our answer is 4080. Open that. That looked like a 6, so I'm going to rewrite that.